Well, we got this 2008 Ford Edge, and the customer's concern is that it's hard to steer, kind of hard to power steering. Man, I'm glad I ate my Wheaties. I wouldn't call that hard power steering. I'd call it no power steering. So we need to get it into Tech Garage, diagnose it today, and we're going to take you along for the ride. The broken cars keep coming in. Job security, I guess. Welcome to Tech Garage, presented by rockauto.com. Well, I got the Edge in here, took the wheels off, and things covered from rust from the front to the back. Took a look underneath, and I actually have a leak going on, a big old leak. Well, between the fluid and the rust, that's way too dirty for me. Brian, I got one for you.
Rust. Did you say rust? This is mass degradation, folks. Everything. Shock mounts, rear brake lines. The body mounts and pinch points. The pinch points where the jacks go, couldn't even use that. We had to find a different way to lift it. All the way up to the front, there is just mass oxidation through here. However, there is one very concerning spot, this big wet spot right here. So that's right underneath the power steering line. So step one, let's investigate the lines themselves. Come up to the front where the rubber power steering line meets the metal, the steel one, and you want to look at that clamp. You're looking for the rubber decay or a bad clamp. That actually looks pretty good. Come back to the back, and right up here past the support strap is where it joins back into the rubber hose again. Again, that clamp looks pretty good, and the line itself does not look decayed. So, if you look at the wall, the diameter of these things is pretty narrow. With this amount of rust and oxidation, that wall has rusted so much and it's so thin, the power steering fluid under pressure is weeping its way out to create this leak. So I think at the very least, we've got to go ahead and replace this line. Now, there's one mounting strap right here, and let me try this with my fingers. It's so lubricated from the power steering fluid, it's just finger tight. Let me get this one out. Looks like it's 10 millimeter, but we're good. Do this the old-fashioned way. That's loose. Now, I'm going to come up to the front and disconnect this first. Get your drain pan, safety goggles, a paramount here. I don't know how much fluid's left in the system. We're going to see in just a moment, but let me get this front clamp off for you so you can get a look at it together. Channel locks work well here. Crimp it. You may have to wrestle with this clamp just a little bit, work it back up the tube itself. And I should be able to get my hands in there and separate. Come up. Again, you want to watch for any splash, any power steering fluid. You can drain the system in advance if you know you're in here. Well, and you're probably going to have to earn this. I got the clamp back. Now, Chief Tech Josh taught us a good trick years ago. Get your channel locks up there. Don't crimp your steel line. We're going to replace it. Don't worry about that. But against the sidewalls of the rubber, and give it a good shove off. And look at that, guys. Absolutely no fluid came down. I mean, that's why John couldn't steer this thing. There's no fluid left in the system. So let me get this back one loose. Now, while I'm working on the back one, reset our channel locks, take a look at this heat shield. It's gone. It's missing. That's really important. You'll see on a new line, we're so close to the exhaust, that keeps that heat transfer from happening. You can actually boil power steering fluid without that heat shield, adding or actually shortening the lifespan of all of that. Let me get this down here. Not too worried about fluid at this point. Slide the clamp up. Get your hand here to support it. The hoses look pretty good visually. I'm gonna pull this guy down out. And that, folks, is why John couldn't steer the Edge. I'll tell you what, there's a lot going on here. Brake lines look pretty sketchy themselves and other stuff, so I think we're gonna get all this replaced. Meanwhile, thinking about brake lines, John's got some tips that you need to know.
That's right, Brian. Making those couplings are super important, especially when it comes to brake lines. Now, rockauto.com, they give us all the brake lines for the car. You may get them pre-fit, you may not. This model we actually do, but if you didn't, you're going to get a roll that looks like this. Now, you walk out of the parts store, hey, I don't want this. This is going to fit anything. That's right. You're going to have to form it yourself and flare it. Why do you want to flare it? Well, that's the receiving end of either the caliper or the wheel cylinder is going to use that flare right there. So you want to go under there, make some measurements. Eastwood actually has this bending tool right here, which is really nice. You can put it in, make some bends. It makes a really nice bend like that. where there's no obstructions. If I try to do that with my finger, well, I would bend it right in half, eventually breaking the line. So that's not going to work either. Now what I'm going to do is simply just take the cutter here, cut a piece off. I already did it. Everybody's used one of these tubing cutters before. Put it on there and spin it, and I have a line right here. Now what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and deburr it right here. Make sure that I get the burrs out of there to where I cut it, and then I could go ahead and flare it. So I'm going to take a little bit of grease right here just to make it easier, a little dab of grease on there so the tool will slip in. And then I'm going to come over to my Eastwood flaring tool. This is really neat because they give you these dies right here. And this side right here is the beveled side. This is huge because we want to do a double flare. After commercial, we'll look at a bubble flare. That's even a different one or a different receiving end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pipe, stick it in this die right here. And when I stick it in the die, I can go ahead and put it down in the machine. And this is really nice because I get it in the machine and then I can come over here, lock it in. Now the first thing I want to do is just secure it lightly, and I'm on the 0 mark over here. So I'm going to come down and I'm simply just going to bottom it out to where it stops. Then I can go ahead and secure the brake line in the tool. Make sure it's nice and tight, and I'm going to flare it. So this one happens to be a 1/4 inch brake line, so I'm just going to come over to number 1. I'm going to hit operation 1, super easy, pull the handle. Ugh, and Brian said I wasn't strong. Well, you don't need to be strong with this one. This one was pretty easy. Come over to number 2. I got the first one, the second operation, bam. Now check this out. This is the beauty of it. Pick it up, pull it out of the die right here, and voila. That is a professional double flare. You want to make sure you do that every time. Hey, stick around. I'm going to do a bubble flare right after break. We'll be back with more Tech Garage presented by rockauto.com.
Tech Garage, presented by rockauto.com, is brought to you by ATEQ, Tire Pressure Monitoring System Tools and Solutions. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radio since 1977. And by rockauto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Well, welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by rockauto.com. Well, I cut a second piece. I promised you a bubble flare. Here it is. I have it cut off and I have it actually reamed out so it's in good shape. But one important fact, please make sure you put on your little ferrule there before you flare both sides, or it's not going on. That's the receiving end to the caliper of the wheel cylinder. I'm not going to put one on mine just to demonstrate. Here we go with the Eastwood bubble flare. Super easy. Remember we did the beveled last time? This time I'm going with the flat side right there. The flat side is going to go in there. So what I want to do is drop it with the flat side in. And boy, this is actually easier than the double flare because it's a one process. I'll show it to you right here. We'll lock it in. Once again, get the tubing nice and flat on the 0 line, close it up, snug it up nice and tight, make sure. I'm going to dial it over to where we're at there with the 1/4 inch line, number 1, leave it on number 1. Once I'm on number 1, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze it down, yeah, like that, just that easy. Open it up, and man, check this out, people. I actually have a professional bubble flare right there, and here is the double flare. Big difference between them. The caliper has to accept either a double or a bubble or the wheel cylinder. Make sure you check your manufacturer specification because they're not interchangeable. Well, the Eastwood makes short work of this, and you know what? Brian is too. Let's check in with him.
Well, speaking of couplings and line connections and getting that right, you got to get this right on the power steering line as well. A lot of pressure here. But before we do, here's a couple tips. Make sure you get the power steering hose back down past this collar enough, at least enough, so that that clamp can sit down on the other side of the collar, allowing it to really lock in place. But before we do that, if you've ever been this guy, and I know you have, you saw me struggling earlier, where you've got to crimp it with channel locks or pliers, needle nose, whatever, it can be a battle. This is one of the new clamps that came with the rockauto.com kit. Look at the tab on here. It's got it pre-compressed for us. I'll slide it up on the rubber hose, I'll back pull the tab, voila, it's locked in place. All right, so step 1 is to get this up onto the rubber power steering line. I'm just going to work it up on there, and I'm going to spin that tab around where I can get back to it in a real friendly sort of way. Again, go way up high here so we can come down onto the line, work it on here. You got to wrestle a little bit and get your leverage. And I'm working it, working it, working it. I got that clamp up out of my way. Eat your Wheaties and come on here. And I'm going to bring this clamp down. Hopefully you can see it as well as I can. Across that collar. Come on down, work it, work it. There's the collar bridge, I can feel it underneath. I got enough surface area there. I'm gonna grab that tab. I'm gonna grab it with the channel locks. Get this tab off. It's gonna lock in, just like that. Well, I'll tell you what, I feel good about the power steering line repair, but the brake lines still need a little love. And I gotta tell you, it's kind of heartbreaking, the amount of rust and oxidation going on here. I wish we could do so much more.
Brian, I got you covered, man. They sent the NHOU protective coatings here. This is going to do the job, and it's really nice because it's a whole system, and it's also maintaining the vehicle. Even this one, I know it's shot, it's already rusted out. It's obviously not going to fix the problem, but it's going to either slow down or stop the rust. It stops the oxygen from touching it, and then it doesn't work anymore. So that's pretty cool.
Perfect.
Now this here, you got the brine wash. They're spraying that brine on the road. That's no big deal, but now the brine's actually sticking, and it's also sticking to the car. So step number one, we get that mess off. Then they got a couple of options here. They got a clear. If you had a new car, perhaps you want to do a clear coat, put it on there, keep it all nice. That's the way to go. NHOU has the actual black tube, which will make this one look much better also, as well as stopping it from rusting anymore.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. Got to give me the gun, give me the actual gun to spray it on with. They got some touch up right here if you want to do some touch up through the years. But the key, Brian, is maintaining it, man, just like an oil change, right? You get that serviced?
Absolutely.
Transmission, tire rotation?
Absolutely.
Well, once a year, you throw this on the car, you're not going to have that problem, man. There's billions of dollars of rust out there. This is a big problem. This is going to solve it.
Well, it's a big deal that you can wash off the brine first. Other traditional undercoatings, there's no wash, no pre-wash.
No,
so
not
I really
at all.
like that technology. I love it.
And this will do it. And I'll tell you what, Brian, they sent me a hat here that's going to put on so I can protect my head from any kind of oil going on there when I spray it. Something you don't have to worry about, but you'll be all right.
It's disturbing.
Go ahead, I'll spray this joker. But more importantly, you know, we're going to get into the Project LS, the build, LS lesson. We're going to wrap that thing up, man. That's been great throughout it. You guys stick around. There's plenty more Tech Garage brought to you by rockauto.com. Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by rockauto.com. Well, we got our LS lesson underway, and I've got to tell you, it's looking good, Brian. I'm excited.
Absolutely, I'm very excited. A lot of progress since last week. You got the valve cover on here. Let's talk the front of the engine.
Yeah, definitely. Well, on the front of the engine here, check this out. I got the whole timing system intact here. You can see it now. This is the camshaft and the camshaft gear. Down here is the crankshaft. Now, this is super important. It's either going to be dot, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock. This one just happened to be dot to dot. So we brought the crankshaft up to meet the camshaft with dot to dot. We put the timing on, then we're in good shape. Then we went ahead and put the oil pump on right there in front. You can see that. We'll put the filter on and the other stuff a little bit later. But that's huge because that puts number one at top dead center. That also, Brian, when you're talking about interference engines and non-interference engines,
That could be a problem.
catastrophic damage. So no matter what engine you have, Brian's going to give us a spin around. We're going to kind of watch it as it goes around.
360 this first
Yep.
time, see if we need to go 720 or not. Everything looks good. Everything's torqued to spec.
there it goes.
Tell you what, feels a little tighter with those new rings.
Yep, and the valves are all moving up here. Everything looks pretty good. We would do 720 to go through all 4 strokes. We're going to do that a little bit later. Now, on the upper end here, Brian took a lot of care. You think back to the first couple of segments. When he took everything apart, he made sure it was all organized. That was key. Why? Well, you got the little bolt here. You have the knobber here. You have the rocker that's going to the push rod. We're replacing them. Rock Auto gave us new rockers. They gave us a new timing set. They gave us a new oil pump too. That's huge. I recommend replacing those. These, if they're in fine shape, you don't have to, but we're going to anyway. But these guys here, they just slip right on there on the push rod. They're going to go on top. I'll go ahead and torque them down. Now, when you torque these down, that's huge. What you got to do is go ahead and do it to 22 foot-pounds. Now, watch the manual. It says 22. It could be inch-pounds, could be foot-pounds. The bolts are pretty small. This one's foot-pounds, so we don't have a problem there, Brian.
Absolutely. Got to get those torqued right. We've got that done over here. We even have the valve cover on, of course, news gaskets there. I'm going to go ahead and set this plenum, this intake manifold, back on. I've got the wiring harness out of the way there. You can also see we've got the new oil, or the original oiler line reconnected so we get equilibrium on flow. And as you set this guy down in, we got a new gasket on here as well. You're going to feel it sit right into place and drop in. That's really good right there, snug. We've got the bolts in, started up. Again, there's a torque sequence here too, John, just like a head. You want to start in the center and spread out, and you got to honor those torque specs. I like to do that twice. we'll get this guy cleaned up, and man, we're close.
Yeah, you can look at the graphic right there. You start way from the inside, work your way out, 44 inch-pounds, 89 inch-pounds. Make sure you do honor those torque specs. Boy, I'm excited for next week. You better join us next week for the LS build, but stick with us because there's more Tech Garage presented by rockauto.com right after this.
Tech Garage, presented by rockauto.com, is brought to you by NH Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system. Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. And by rockauto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by rockauto.com. Well, we're taking this thing off of idle and we're going to wide open throttle on Garage Ed today. We're going to talk about the idle air control, IAC motor. Now, what does it do and why is it there? Well, these are kind of older cars. We're going to look at drive-by-wire in a little while, but it allows the air to bypass it. You can see it right here. It's located right on the top between the throttle plates to where the air actually is going to go into it. Now, here's one right here. You can see it. Now, what's happened is this pinto's running in and out depending on where you run the car. And that's pretty cool because you can look at this graphic right there. Now, the graphic on the screen actually shows it. The throttle plates are split right there down the middle. And what's happening, the air's coming in. It can't get into the engine unless it goes up and around the idle air control, and the idle air control runs in and out to control what's going in. Obviously, if it backs out, there's more air, the idle's going to raise. When it goes down and closes, it lowers the idle because it's cutting off the air supply. Now, in true Tech Garage fashion, once again, I want to show it to you in action. How does it work? Well, on the left side of the screen, you see the throttle, and on the right side is the idle air control. It's at 115 counts right now, but if I start up the car, what it's going to do, it's actually going to change. You can see it right there. The throttle's staying the same. It went up. Now it's running back. It's getting the idle under control. It's at about 82 counts. Well, if I give it gas, watch it again. It's going to come up. It's run back, waiting. I slam off the throttle. It once again grabs the idle and it starts to get it under control. So a couple problems you can have with an idle air control motor. Well, it may be hunting for an idle. It may be looking, is it idle and high? Is it idle and low? Well, why is that? Well, once again, your little pinto right here. It's very important to keep that little pinto clean. Once I get carbon built up on there, I'm closing that passage and the computer doesn't know that. So you're getting a false reading. Now, the drive-by-wire plays by a whole new set of rules. It uses the throttle to get the job done. Heck, Brian's going to show us what's going on.
Well, this is a drive-by-wire system, extremely prevalent in today's vehicles, more modern ones. It doesn't have that idle air control motor that John showed you. So here's kind of how it works in action. What we're looking for is the throttle position plate needs to know its home position. If you don't remember, back in episode 2 this year, we showed you how to clean all that, the gum, the varnish, the carbon on the throttle plate. Be sure that's in good order so that it knows home so that this drive motor can control where that sits. Now, we're going to start the vehicle up. Go ahead, Abante, fire us up. You can see that as we start the vehicle, we go from 34% open. The ECU is absolutely dedicated to optimizing fuel economy. And if you listen, the idle's going to spool down. There it is in the gauge. We're down to 23%. That's about a 20% swing on the position of that plate with that drive motor. By gosh, it's going to find the optimal position. So now, if you load it up or have a vacuum leak anywhere, keep in mind those vacuum leaks, they'll bite you. Let's just pull a vacuum leak right here, and you can hear it trying to recover. The ECU's trying to figure out where's the unmetered air coming from. That's kind of the erratic behavior of the drive motor now, trying to find home. Let me put this back in. We restabilize. We come back up, and that's how it works on a drive-by-wire system. So once you do your diagnostic, if you find you've got a problem, Tom and John have your solution.
Well, I use Rock Auto, and I'll tell you, I like the prices. There's no doubt about it. I can't beat them. So, Tom, the prices are great, but you also even have some better deals.
Yeah, we have reliably low prices on everything, but as you look through the catalog, you'll see things described as wholesaler closeouts. They're parts that competitors maybe have trouble selling because they're located in part of the world where all those cars aren't on the road anymore. Maybe they rusted away, or maybe they're switching the brands they carry. So we get those parts at a discount, and we pass that discount on to the customers. Next to the engine size, if you click the RSS icon, you can set it up so you can get feeds, so you can constantly be told when new wholesaler closeouts are coming in. Or you can always click this HTML tab, and it'll list just
Wow.
100% all the wholesaler closeouts available for that particular vehicle.
Well, don't tell Brian he still shops at the outlet stores and gets some of them wholesale clothes, but he'll love that portion of it. Let's check in with him and see how it's going.
Final check, man, all the way right. Now back all the way left. I feel really good about it. No whining, no groaning. John's gonna be so much happier driving this guy down the road.
Boy, you better believe it, Brian. That thing's turning super easy. That's nice. And more importantly, we even have it sealed all underneath. We took the NHOU protective coatings. I suited up real nice, went up to the other shop up there, sprayed that brine wash, washed it off, man. Got a good surface to do. Went ahead and prepped it. Started with the black, got it coated in the nooks and crannies. All is well.
Considering where we started, it's an unbelievable transformation underneath this guy. 2008 vehicle, but I tell you what, it's got a lot more life left in it now.
And I'll tell you what, we actually have the LS, less than LS build. We got that thing all wrapped up, but we got a couple final tests in store for next week. But you know, that build was fun.
Absolutely, so was Garage Ed. We keep talking technology, the criticality of engine management, it's all coming together, man.
Yeah, you better believe it. Hey, make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that cool stuff. I hope you enjoyed today. I know we had a good time. Make sure you join us next week for more Tech Garage presented by rockauto.com.
Production assistance for Tech Garage is provided by Chihuahua College, located in Marianna, Florida. Founded in 1947, Chihuahua was ranked recently as one of the top 3 community colleges in the United States.